Hello, my name is Terry Bale, and this is the essay that I wrote called Rose and Sword. As it is, this is the middle of page 4, as that's where I ended last time. And so I'm just going to start in and see how far I can get, and generally about a half hour is what I'll be aiming for. I wonder how far I can get, but at some phones, I think you can make it go faster if you want. And oftentimes, when the person speaks clearly, you can still understand what they're saying. And and you don't have to go faster if you don't want to. Maybe you can go slower. I don't know. I don't know too much about these things, but I know I should read this to you. Make it available to people that way. So here goes. Now, I mentioned the last paragraphs. I wrote, look and see. Yet look what a mastermind God has. He gave us the gift of vulnerability, in that he gave us neither fang nor claw, nor thick fur, nor flighted feather, but he drove us into using our minds to protect and to provide for and to defend ourselves and others. And he allowed there to be challenges of weather and of nature and even of man, to provoke us to choose a path, decipher a path, or create a path and tread it toward him or not toward him. And there's another paragraph, but that can link us up with this next part. The thing is that he created everything, and he gave us our lives and our brains and our hearts, such that when I say we can decipher a path toward him or not toward him, use our minds to want to do good and build things and make things and discover things. Mostly you have to discover before you make or build. And it's neat what he's done. I don't know all about it, but I do know it's neat to discover and to recognize. So that's what I'm doing in this Rose and Sword, this essay called Rose and Sword. And I have to set my, you see, I'll show you where I'm at. It's a different place, slightly different. It's still, what would you call it? Springtime. It's springtime, all right. And those were huge snow puddles, and they are now draining off. And so I just found this quiet place to sit. There. I pushed the right button. We're back. So I'll keep going with this essay then. So, but see how complex this task is to perceive something beyond survival and existence. It is seen in the capacity to gather and assemble and project a perspective of history by our own experience, and also by way of advanced communication in speech and also in writing. We take in so much through our senses. Then we sort and store the information till we have a data bank, not just of sights and sounds, but also of other aspects of our experiences, such as that of smell and touch, and of pains and pleasures. Each event is remembered with all the recorded sensations and thoughts that accompanied it, deftly catalogued, and amazingly findable, considering all the events that can happen in a day, and therefore in a week, and in a month, and in a year, and in a decade, and in a lifetime. Yet alongside these memories are also cataloged the connections that they have to similar reports and testimonies that we have heard or read. So we connect our memories and the insights with the memories and insights of others that we have encountered, making meaningful connections with overarching harmonies and dissonances, so that through these connections we come to see significance and consequence and purpose, both natural and personal and social, even theoretical and philosophical and theological. And then we can discuss, which is an amazing ability in itself, our interpretations of those significances and purposes and consequences, discuss them with others, till we have a data bank large enough to plot whole civilizations and time-lapse eternities upon. I wrote that, then I skip a line. Well, at this point, I've obviously overstepped my ability to rightly grasp what I myself am talking about. Such phrases as time-lapse eternities, quote unquote, by which I mean, I suppose, time travel concepts and projections in science, are a kind of grasping at distant and indistinct possibilities. But at this point, it would be better for us to stick to basic reality, which is mind-boggling enough in its complexity, wonder, and beauty. But just look at what our minds are capable of. And through these invisible gifts from God, the ability to perceive, to think, to communicate, and to discuss, both verbally, have to change page, both verbally and in writing, we create and participate in society, and create whole civilizations, and create and use technologies to reach and move them, while yet at the same time, brilliant minds with selfish hearts are capable of building enterprises designed for glutting passions of the meanest sort and destroying things of the highest purpose. We have a choice to make, and a range of things from which to choose, the heights and depths of which soar to the heights of heaven and plummet to the depths of hell. Then you can't see it, but I'll make you see it. There is a break, and I make some lists here going on with the ideas. So, there are yet other considerations to add to the lists of rose and sword. What else, for instance, fits into these categories of rose and sword? Well, let me list the following items for consideration. Under rose, a human face. Under sword, the face of a clock. Now, they're both called face, and they're very similar as far as they're evident. They're right on the outside. We don't have our faces in our pockets. And I better not go talking too much because I got this thing written. But how do you see? Can I show you? I'm going to try it. I'm going to try show you the page. Hey, it propped up against the steering wheel because I'm in my van, our van. I will turn it to that and see if I can read it to you. There we go. And yet, you could stop and read it all faster than I could. And in a way, I could just take a picture of it and let it go at that. But some people are dependent on me reading it because they haven't, I don't know, maybe they can't read. Okay, here it is. I'm going to peek around the corner. Well, a human face under rose. Alive, very responsive, expressive of inner stuff on many levels. Soft, warm, with features mostly rounded. Eyes that move spontaneously. Growing is a human face, growing. Slower than our hand moves, but just as surely. Actually more so. Then sword, the face of a clock. Though they're both called face and have similarities, that's why we call them each a face, but still not alive, expressing only the inner turning of its gears. Hard, cold, with features mostly flat and straight. Hands that move mechanically. Aging, but not growing. It ticks, but not into eternity. And we might consider a whole person as compared to a picture. A human being can give and take, has senses, can respond, changes second by second, in physical makeup, in thoughts, emotions, in decisions and actions.
second by second. Well, give it a little time, but things are happening inside us. Three-dimensional and more, as it has emotional and spiritual dimensions too. Flesh and blood and motion. A picture of a human being. It looks they're very much alike, but this picture is more on the sword side because it's man-made by his design, by invention. A picture of a human being can't give and take, has not senses, cannot respond, changes not, year to year, one angle, one attitude, one appearance. Two-dimensional, and remember, it has not even the emotion that it appears to have. The photograph, does not have it. Paper and ink, as still as can be. That's interesting. We could also consider other things, and see how they fit into these two categories. Like fruits and berries would go on the roadside as they were living, kind of are. And gems and jewels are very much like fruits and berries, but they are hard and wood, plastic, ice, not warm, yet it melts at the touch of a warm hand. Oops, I'm not even pointing at it. Here we go. Glass, not so cold, yet it only melts at extremely high temperatures. So it's extreme. That's what swords are, sword side. A horse compared to a motorized vehicle. Sticks and stones were made by God, and they're kind of simple, and as opposed as in weapons, as opposed to knives and guns, which are very detailed. And human voice, mechanical voice. Okay, I've just put these few ideas down for consideration. In a way, most every simple substance could be tried and found to fit in one category or another, or the other. And I wonder, where do, pick up the next one, see, I've got them in my lap. Where do such things, it's just reading, so I'll turn it back. Turn it back to me. Sorry. When I have put these things on the internet, on YouTube, something or somebody goes and finds a particular picture in the whole video and puts it on. So just now I came looking like that, and they might pick that on for someone called it a thumbnail? Sketch? Oh no. Okay, let's go back to it. And I wonder, where do such things as gasoline and quinine and creosote fit? And then there are grafted plants, mutated animals, mummies, strawberry preserves, and fire to consider. Even Earth, as in both soil and the spherical planet itself, seems to be made of and benefit from both its living and non-living components. It seems to me that sorting these things out could teach a person a whole raft of things. But in what Bethy and I discussed, that's Bethy, my daughter, and I had this discussion. In case you didn't hear the first part, one day, I wrote this in 03, or finished writing it at least in 03. So 02, 03. But it must have been just before that my daughter and I got this question and searched it out. So this is part of it. But in what Bethy and I discussed that day, we discovered a pattern that really caught our attention. That is that the sword category, when intensified and taken to an extreme, often has a strong connection with non-life, and even with death. In fact, at one point, Bethy exclaimed, "Oh, Mom, now I know why I've felt so funny sometimes about people wearing jewelry. The beauty of the living person and the beauty of those lifeless things so often seem to clash. They don't seem to fit. The cold and sharp and lifeless thing has a kind of beauty, but it so detracts from that greater, deeper beauty of life." End quote. I'm rather sure she didn't say it just like that, but kind of like that. That's life, I guess. Hard to pin down exactly. Even words printed or spoken, might be found to fit into one category or the other. True, soft, warm. True, soft, warm words are more likely to line up with the rose side and with life. Though I've met some hard words that cut like a surgeon's scalpel that brought me back to health. Sometimes when someone says, no, we cannot do that, it's because, you see, oh, okay, then you realize, though I've met some hard, brought me back to health. So there's something good to be said for sword words. And I've met some soft, smooth, cajoling words full of deceit that were calculated to do harm. So it is best to consider the larger picture and not just jump to conclusions. But all in all, there seem to be important considerations here that may be helpful. As we talked, the concepts grew and developed, and we began to see that the concepts of rose and sword themselves fit into the larger categories of living and non-living, and that the predominant inclination or direction describing the things under these headings might be best termed life and death. Oddly enough, things recognized as bringing death, if used to destroy things like weeds or diseases or bacteria, etc., can often assist life. A hoe, though hard and sharp, non-living and cold, can scratch weeds from their places and make way for life-giving fruits and vegetables. An antibiotic, that word meaning, incidentally, against life. Anti is generally spoken of as against life. Though discovered and developed by man and administered under aseptic, that means non-living, aseptic conditions through a surgical steel needle, can kill organisms inside us that would otherwise kill a person or an animal. And guns in the hands of good people have been a powerful deterrent to those who would have been delighted to kill and to steal and to destroy. Any of these things can be used wrongfully, but used rightly, they contribute on the whole more to life than to death. At this point, let's make another list of aspects to consider, as the aspects themselves seem to throw light on the subject. Okay, here is the bottom part of this. I think I'm going to do that again. Let's see if I can keep it aimed right. Okay, because I look around the phone because I can't quite see those tiny, here, those tiny words, but they're pretty tiny. Okay, living, created by God, non-living, man-made. Warm. Things that are living and created by God are often warm, soft, moderate, centered, perishable, hydrated. Now, mind you, even this centered, trees are generally centered. They don't spread out all over the place. But anyway, perishable, hydrated, that means water in them. One of a kind, inimitable. You can't, you can try to imitate it, but each one is its own self. Forgery resistant, so to speak. I mean, a man doesn't try to make a pine tree. They don't even bother trying because it would just be too hard to make a living thing. And personal. Okay, non-living and man-made. Those things are generally cold or hot, hard, extreme, far out, they like to go to extremes. Static means hold still. It doesn't grow or change or die or dry. Mass producible, copyable, invites forgery, so to speak, because if they can make it, someone else can make it. Impersonal. We need to remember that these lists express only general tendencies, but they are found in the majority of instances. Guys, I wrote this a long time ago because I'll turn it back, because it is 2006. It is 2026. And I'm getting older, and it was 06 when I '03. So it's over 20 years old. And even reading it is a challenge for me now. And so that's why I figured I better get it done before it goes bad. Let's see, 20 minutes. I've only got 10 more minutes. Maybe I'll stretch this one to 40 minutes. Maybe. Let's see. Okay, next one up. Let's see how far I get. Mostly I have to try hard not to give explanations except where they're kind of like really useful. So, there goes somebody. Okay. It's just a back roads here in the farm country, like near where we live. Recording will be stopped and saved when you answer the call. Really? Stopped. I'm gonna pause it. There's a call coming.